We are floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you two badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingman Show, where we're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you two badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingman Show. My name is Commander Drew Brown, or actually Lord Commander Drew Brown, and my main man, the guy who watches my six, my real good friend, Dr. Paul Thompson. How are you, Brother Paul?
Pretty good, Lord Commander Drew. I'm impressed to be in the midst of royalty. And the way you look today, I think both Spike Lee and Flavor Flav would approve of your uniform.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you so much. I know I look good, and I am excited as hell. I'm telling you right now, let's get this quote going, and then I'll tell you why I'm so excited. Whatever you do, the only secret is to believe in it and satisfy yourself. Don't do it for anyone else. Whatever you do, the only secret is to believe in it and satisfy yourself. Don't do it for anyone else. And that's by Keith Haring. And Dr. Paul, I've always said that. I said that success is waking up, doing something you love, and doing it well. And do it for yourself. You got to make yourself happy. Don't you agree, Paul?
Yeah, and it's not a job at that point. It's just something that you want to do. You'll not only do you get maybe you get paid for it, you might pay for it yourself.
That's right. That's a great way to make a living doing something you love. And God bless it. That's what Dr. Paul and Commander Drew have done with their lives when we flew for the great airline of X. All right, today, why I'm so excited, Team Pride. Oh, what a powerful rush. Either way, you know, I actually had the nerve, Doc, on this show after COVID, I said sports weren't that important. Well, you know, Doc, there is nothing like when your home team finally starts winning. That rush hits you in the chest like a cat shot off the front end of an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, that's true. And it doesn't even have to be a championship. Just one big play, one comeback. And suddenly folks who barely talk all week, they're actually hugging each other, hugging strangers in the stands. Win, lose, or draw, that emotional hit is real, Commander Drew.
Yeah, it's crazy because your paycheck doesn't change, your house doesn't change, but your team wins and your whole body feels like it just leveled up. Heart's pumping, voice is gone, and you walk different the very next day, Dr. Paul.
Yeah, that's true. My favorite sports teams have never paid me a dime. But anyway, that's how powerful identity is. You're not just watching, you feel like you're on the field, you're on the court. That's my city, it's my colors, my people. It's the same chemistry that bonds a squadron or a ship's crew, just without the face paint and foam fingers.
You know, and when that pride goes sideways, we also see the dark side. Riots after a game, those soccer hooligans brawling in the streets, people literally fighting over a jersey. That's the same rush, just pointed in the wrong direction. You know, Dr. Paul, not too many Olympics ago, there was a Brazilian goalkeeper in soccer who kicked the ball by mistake into his own goal. And guess what? They shot him 9 times that night in a discotheque. That's how upset they were.
I remember that, Commander Drew. It was terrible, but you're 100% right. Sometimes we go overboard. So the brain doesn't care if it's a touchdown or a tribal war or a soccer goal. It just knows these are my guys. Those are their guys. You don't control that. That passion can turn to something real ugly really fast.
But when you do aim it right, hometown pride is beautiful. Cities that haven't won in decades suddenly feel hope again. New York is going crazy right now. You see old folks crying, kids screaming, generations hugging because our boys finally did it, Paul.
Yeah. And that's why we're talking about this today, because that same rush you get from your team, you can feel it in your own life when you start winning your personal games too, Commander Drew.
That's very true, Paul. You know, don't just live off somebody else's scoreboard. Enjoy your team. But remember, the most important jersey is the one with your name on the back of it, the one you wear in real life. That's the team pride that really counts. This is excellent, Paul. You want some good news?
Absolutely.
All right, well, check this out. Good people, we are the Wingman Show. Listen, I have not been this excited since I've been a teenager, running through the projects with a busted Spalding and a dream. The New York Knicks are in the NBA Finals, man. Let that sink in. I am hyped up, Dr. P.
Same here. It's been 27 years it took to get back here. 27 years of hope, heartbreak, and, maybe next year. But now it's this year. New York City finally got a shot at the championship once again.
And if that wasn't crazy enough, the Knicks just did something that hit me right in the heart, Paul. They're donating hundreds of NBA Finals tickets to underprivileged youth and families all across New York City. And you need to know the cheapest ticket at the Garden in the nosebleed section is $4,000. How about that, Paul?
That's impressive. 200, it's supposed to be 250 tickets per home game through the Garden of Dreams Foundation. That's at least 500 seats for games 3 and 4. If we get game 6 at the Garden, that number jumps to 750. That's not just basketball, that's opportunity, Commander Drew.
And if it does go to game 6, those tickets are going to be 20,000 apiece. So picture this, a kid from the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Harlem, who thought the closest they'd ever get to the finals was watching it on some cracked television. But now they're in Madison Square Garden, finals patch on the floor, lights down, crowd shaking the building. It's crazy, Paul.
Absolutely. They're hearing that roar. They're seeing Brunson, Towns, the whole squad fighting for a ring. They're looking around and realizing I belong in big moments too. That's a seed you can't put a price on, Commander Drew.
No, you sure can't. Remember, they haven't won a championship since we've been teenagers, Dr. Paul. And you see, as two New Yorkers, two lifelong Knick fans, this is personal. We remember when the Garden was a movie, when every kid in the park faded away, just like they were playing against the Bulls in June. This right here brings that feeling all the way back, Dr. P.
Yeah, and it's bigger than just nostalgia. It's about a franchise saying, we see you. We're not just selling jerseys, we're opening the doors to history. So when companies talk about community, this is what it really should look like.
Well, I love the strategy on the court, but I really respect the character off the court. You see, giving these kids a once in a lifetime shot to sit in those seats, to feel that energy, to believe that impossible things actually happen, that's championship behavior right there. And it says ring or no ring, hell no, we're getting a ring this year, Paul.
Absolutely. So to those young fans heading to watch the finals, don't just watch the game, absorb it. Look around and remember where you are. Let that moment tell you that your dreams are real, even if your circumstances say otherwise.
So, from two kids who grew up in New York City, who know what it is to have a dream bigger than your block, if the Knicks can climb back to the championship after 53 years, you can climb to wherever you're supposed to be, Paul.
Yeah. So, from both of us, salute to the Knicks, salute to the Garden of Dreams Foundation, and salute to every young king and queen walking into that arena with a ticket they never thought they'd hold.
I'm Commander Drew Brown.
I'm Dr. Paul Thompson.
And remember, every pilot needs a wingman, every dreamer needs a team. And tonight, New York City, you're on the court with the Knicks. Congratulations, Dr. Paul. You and I are two happy wingmen. All right, everybody. You know we love that jet joke because we're two badass jet pilots. And matter of fact, if you'd like to see us and you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, turn on YouTube. You can see what Dr. Paul and Commander Drew Brown look like. So, Dr. Paul, you ever been on a flight so short you barely have time to sit down? I'm talking about the world's shortest scheduled airline flight. And no, it's not a hop between gates in Atlanta. Up in the northern coast of Scotland, in the Orkney Islands, there's a route between two tiny islands, Westray and Papa Westray. The distance? About 1.7 miles, about 2.7 kilometers. That's shorter than the runway at some of these big airports, Dr. Paul.
The airline Logan Air runs it in a little Britain Norman Islander. Little airplane, 8 seats, is no nonsense. On the timetable, they generously call it about a 2-minute flight. In reality, the airplane is only airborne for about 90 seconds. With a good tailwind, they've done it in about 53 seconds, Commander Drew.
Wow. Now that's some tourist gimmick. This is a public service obligation. It's a lifeline. It's not a tourist gimmick. These little hops connect remote island communities to doctors, schools, supplies, and the rest of the world when the ferries are getting beat up by that bad weather.
Yeah. Think about it this way. You can drive farther inside one big airport than this airplane flies between two islands. But from the cockpit, it's flown with the same professionalism and discipline we use on our long carrier missions, with checklists, briefings, the whole 9 yards, just compressed into a tiny window of time, Commander.
Well, Paul, most people think real flying means 6 hours over the ocean at 35,000 feet or 500 miles an hour at 50 feet. But sometimes the most important flight of the day is a 90-second hop that gets a nurse to a patient or a kid to a school.
Okay, so the next time you're buckled in for that long cross country, remember there's a little islander up in Orkney doing his job in less time than it takes you to put on your seatbelt.
And remember, Dr. Paul, at FedEx, when we were younger and we were on reserves, I remember that the most senior trip there was Memphis to Birmingham, Alabama. And it was a 20-minute flight. And that means these pilots were getting up around 12:30, 1 o'clock, and getting back in the bed at 5 o'clock. I remember that used to go very senior, Paul. You remember that?
I do remember that. That flight was shorter than everyone's drive out to the airport to even show up.
So check out those badass jets we got behind us. Dr. Paul has a beautiful F-18 Hornet, and me, I have the New York Knicks
2026
flying around
champions.
Madison Square Garden
The Knicks!
celebrating a
Fly high,
championship.
Knicks champions!
So,
Unstoppable, go New York!
everybody out there, thank you so much for watching us on YouTube, listening to us on Apple Podcasts. Thank you for watching our TikTok, our Instagram. Thank you for your support, your subscriptions, your letters, and your love. Now, we have a website, and that website is wingmenshow.com. That's WINGMENSHOW.com. And on that website, we have a frequent flow line, and that's where you guys can ask Dr. Paul and Commander Drew any question you want, and we'll try to get to it. And the newsletter, oh, good newsletter this week, how to find team spirit in sports and life. All right, everybody, it's time for that frequent flow line. You know, we love that. And this is a letter to Commander Drew, Dr. Paul, and Ace. Now, remember, our Wingman Ace is just an AI chat box. Don't forget, he is not human and he's not 100% correct all the time, but he is one hell of a tool that you really should learn. So here's the letter. Dear Commander Drew, Dr. Paul, and Ace, my name is Michael. I'm 34, writing from Juneau, Alaska. I feel like my life is stuck in a holding pattern, circling the same point, never getting cleared for takeoff. You see, my parents are in their late 70s and their health is sliding. I'm the one here in town. Over the last few years, I've quietly become their full time caregiver. Rides to appointments, groceries runs, medications, bills, late night calls, all of it. I have two sisters, but whenever the subject of helping comes up, they're suddenly too busy, too far away, or too quick to say, I'm better at this stuff anyway. I love my parents and I'm grateful for everything they did for us, but I'm starting to feel like I've traded my own future for everyone else's comfort. I watch people my age build careers, travel, start families, and I'm happy for them, but also painfully aware that my own dreams are still sitting at the gate. I'm torn between guilt and resentment, guilt for even wanting my own life, and resentment that my sisters can't just opt out while I carry the load. I don't want to abandon my parents, but I don't want to abandon myself either. Right now, I feel like the good son whose wings are still tied down. I'm asking you three wingmen to help me figure out how to finally take off without leaving my parents behind. What do you think, Ace?
Michael, first off, you're not alone in that holding pattern. Lots of us have been stuck on the tarmac at some point. So here's the flight plan, ACE style. One, you got to communicate your situation to your sisters like you're briefing a crew. Specific tasks, schedules, and expectations. Even if they can't move to Juneau, they can still step up financially or remotely to lighten your load. Two, set boundaries with love. A plane can't take off if it never refuels. You need respite care or support, whether that's professional caregiving breaks or at least a few days a month that are about you. And three, your dreams aren't grounded forever, but it's time to taxi to the runway. Start small, carve out tiny moments for something that moves you forward. Maybe you can't take off today, but you can at least rev those engines. Your parents will want you to soar too. Let's get you cleared for takeoff, Captain.
That's excellent, excellent, excellent advice. What do you think, Dr. Paul?
Well, Michael, thanks for writing us. Give you my opinion. I've heard this before from people with multiple family members, and there's always seems to be one that does more than the other. Part that got me is when you said they told you, well, you're good at that stuff anyway. Good at that stuff anyway sounds like they're kind of playing you. They know you're doing most of the work and they like it that way. Time for them to step up. Sounds like, they're just not involved. Not that they can't do it, not that they don't have their own problems, but you're good at that anyway. Well, let's let Michael do everything. No, Michael shouldn't do everything. They should share the load. Tell them how you feel and let them, jump into and participate and not just put everything on your back.
That's an excellent answer, also. And I agree with both you and Ace. First of all, you always have to look after yourself. Just like in flight, if there's ever an emergency, the first thing we learned was to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first. So self preservation is the most important. And remember, your parents want you to do well. I'm sure they're very happy that you're helping them. But your sisters have an obligation. So just like Ace and Dr. Paul said, you need to sit down with a serious conversation with them both. And remember, they do have places that will help your parents. There are a lot of agencies out there that can help your parents. But don't get stuck because you'll feel bad for the rest of your life. Your parents want you to succeed. We want you to succeed. And most importantly, you want to succeed. But I will tell you this, God will really look after you for taking care of your parents.
This is a Wingman PSA. In the sky, your partner has your back. Now, let's get to it.
Climbing in now. Systems green.
This is the Wingmen PSA. And under fact number 6, sloth, nastoids, people who are nasty, funky, filthy, lazy, and disgusting. God doesn't like litter bugs, nastoids. That's sloth. That's the sin of sloth. People who are nasty, funky, filthy, lazy, and disgusting. And once again, God doesn't like litter bugs. All right, Ace, this is the time for the gouge. You know we like that gouge. And gouge is shit that you need to know, but nobody tells you sometimes. And we learned that in the Navy. So, Ace, I want you to give me the gouge on this. What's the one habit that quietly destroys more potential than bad luck or bad breaks ever will?
Here's the unvarnished gouge. Procrastination. That sneaky habit is like putting your dreams on layaway but never picking them up. It's not flashy like bad luck, but quietly, day by day, it erodes momentum and confidence. You think you've got time, but it's the one thing you never get back. Nip that habit in the bud, and you'll be amazed how much potential stops slipping away.
I agreed. What do you think, Paul?
The one habit I think complacency, not wanting to do more, just being good enough and staying at a level and not going beyond that. We really don't live up to our potential if we just kind of look backward and don't try and don't get uncomfortable.
And I think a big word is called consistency. I think you have to be consistent in everything you do, not just doing it one times, two times, three times, but a consistent effort will always bring about good results. All right, everybody, it's time for our Wingman story. And the Wingman Show, we like to highlight people who help others. And our Wingman story today is a really good one, The Last Walk Home. Some people think wingmen only show up in jets and in cockpits, but sometimes the strongest wingman you'll ever see is a kid walking down an ordinary street. There was an older gentleman in a small town, Mr. Lewis, late 70s, Korean War vet, walked with a cane and a limp that the winter made worse. He lived alone in a little house he and his late wife had bought 40 years earlier.
Hmm. Every evening, Mr. Lewis would shuffle 3 blocks to the corner store. Same route, same time, rain or shine. But one night, a teenager named Jayden was in that store. He had a hoodie, backpack, headphones hanging around his neck. He watched Mr. Lewis pay for 2 cans of soup, a loaf of bread, and his pain medication, counting coins like they were gold. When Mr. Lewis turned to leave, he hesitated just for a second, like he was bracing for turbulence before takeoff.
Outside, Jaden caught up to him. Sir, can I carry that for you? Mr. Lewis started to no, pride talking, but his hands were shaking just enough that the bag slipped a little. He looked at this kid, saw something honest in his eyes, and handed it over. That first walk home took 15 minutes. They talked about nothing and everything: school, the weather, Mr. Lewis's old job at the post office. That was it. No big speech, no violins, just a kid walking an old man home.
Mm. But the next day, Jayden was there again, and the next. Within a week, it wasn't an accident anymore. It was a ritual. One evening, rain tapping on the window, Mr. Lewis invited Jayden in just for a minute. On the kitchen table were his medals, a folded flag, and a faded picture of a young man in uniform. He told Jayden about sleeping on cold foreign ground, about friends who never made it back, about promises he made to live a life worthy of that second chance.
And a few months later, winter hit real hard. One day, Mr. Lewis wasn't at the store. The next day, still nothing. Jaden felt something was wrong. He walked to the little house and saw an ambulance out front. At the hospital, they told him Mr. Lewis had pneumonia. Family, none. None nearby. And that's when this kid did something real grown. He sat by that bed day after day, brought soup, brought stories, brought his homework, and when the nurses asked who he was, he said, I'm his ride home.
Hmm. Mr. Lewis pulled through that winter, but not the next. When he passed, the nurse found one name listed under person to notify. It was Jayden. At the funeral, there weren't many people. Age had taken most of Mr. Lewis's generation. But standing at the front in a borrowed suit, a size too big, was that same teenager. When it came time to carry the casket, it wasn't old war buddies lifting that weight. It was Jayden and 2 of his friends, young backs, young hands, carrying a man who once carried this country on his shoulders. After the service, the lawyer handed Jayden a small envelope. Inside was an old black and white photo, and a note in shaky handwriting that said, "Thank you for walking me home. You're my wingman. Now it's your time to fly."
You see, women aren't about age, rank, or even ribbons. A teenager in a hoodie can be the strongest wingman in the pattern. If you're young and you think you have nothing to offer an older person, remember Jaden. Sometimes the greatest mission you'll ever fly is just taking the time to walk somebody home. And if you're older and feeling forgotten, remember somewhere out there is a young wingman who needs your stories. He needs your wisdom and your courage just as much as you need their strong arm. You're not baggage. You're cargo worth carrying. And I'd like to thank everybody for watching us again. And anything that you think is important, and anything that you think is beautiful, and most importantly, whatever makes you happy, may you have that today and forever. I pray for peace.
I pray for peace too, Commander Drew, Lord Commander Drew. It's good seeing you again. We also appreciate all those who listen, like, and share our message. If you're watching us on YouTube, a like would be appreciated, but we'd like it better if you become a subscriber. Hit subscribe. That way you'll get a notification when we put out a new video. Also, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, in the near future, you'll have the choice of listening on Apple Podcasts or watching the video also. That's going to come in the near future. In any case, we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you once again. And if you want to see us now, just look at YouTube. Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and refer to use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth and goodwill towards all men and women.